Okay, folks, today we're going to learn a little bit about Google Draw. It's a great program to create original works of art, and you can share them throughout most of your Google products and even other products that are not related to Google. So let's get started. We're going to first go up here to your Google Drive. As you can see, I'm already in my Drive. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to the New button. And then in order to access Google Draw, we're most likely going to need to come into our More. And then obviously you can see we have Google Drawings here. Once you open up Google Draw, you'll notice we get a new Google Draw window. And you can see that we have our canvas in front of us and then some of our Google Draw tools and obviously our toolbar. So I'm going to first just title this Drawing Example. All right. Now here on our canvas, what we could do here first, we're just going to take a look at some of the basic tools. And what I'd like to do here, we're just going to start off with a basic line. So with some of our tools here, you guys will notice obviously as you hover over each of the buttons, it'll tell you what each tool is. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to take a look here at some of the lines. Obviously this is just a line, but I'm going to click on the down arrow so I can see the multitude of lines available. Obviously, I have line, we have an arrow, some of your connectors, curve, polylines, and scribble. So first thing I want you to do is just take a quick look here at a line. Notice once you click on a line, you'll notice your cursor changes to a crossbar. And if you click, you'll notice that it draws you out a line. Obviously, you can maneuver this around your canvas however you like to. Okay, there we go. I have a line now drawn. And you'll notice that this current line is active. You can see that I have some little endpoints on here, and that is an active line. When it is an active line, you'll notice I do get a few other tools available. If I click off of this, you'll notice those tools will go away. Again, I'm going to click back on it. Make sure that you have your selection tool on, and then you can click back onto your line. I obviously can change the line color. Pretty easy. I could change the line thickness. There you go. But notice I cannot fill in a line. A line is a solid color, is a solid shape. You cannot change the interior of it, such as a shape. So that's just a straight line. Again, you could adjust these here for starting points and ending points, such as if you want to put on like arrows or endpoints that you can see available here pretty easily. Okay. You can also see that I could change the line thickness. I moved mine up to 12. I can move it back down to like 3, make it very fine. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker again so that we can see it. I could even make it into a dashed line as needed too. Okay, so you could play around with some of those tools. Now, I want you to take a look at some of the other line features. We have a curve. Notice a curve. Obviously, it looks like it's a straight line, but wherever you click, it'll make a curve. So I could pretty much make any kind of crazy looking shape there. Now notice on a curve, I could change the line. Again, I could change the line color. I could change the thickness again. I can even fill this in. Now it's not going to fill in completely. As you guys can see, it's not a complete fill in. All right. So if I want to get rid of any of these things, I'm going to go back to my select tool and I can click on it and I can just hit my delete key. All right. So that is a curve. Let's take a look at some of the others. We have a polyline. A polyline is great because you could create pretty much any shape you like. Notice it looks like a straight line that I'm coming in with. I can make it all straights. Or if I click and hold down my mouse controller, I can create very different shapes here. There you go. So it does not need to just be a straight line. You can make all kinds of connecting lines and things like that. I like to use my polyline. We use an example that when we draw a house, say if I wanted to make it like three-dimensional looking, I could use some of these other shapes, which we'll get into here in just a second. And what I like to do, I like to use, I'm going to rotate this thing here. There we go. Move this into place. So we get that in there. There we go. So I'm going to now put on some roof here for this house. So I'm going to use my shapes here again. I'm going to put a triangle for the front part. And again, this is pretty rough drawing, but you guys get the idea. There we go. I'll even give it a little fill color. But I'm going to put a polyline here. So again, I'm going to use a polyline to give it a three-dimensional look. Obviously, they don't have perfect tools for that, but by using a polyline, I can make it look pretty close. Okay, and you can maneuver these into place as needed. Again, that's just called a polyline. Obviously, the last one we have here is a scribble. So scribble looks like you could go anywhere you want to, and obviously it scribbles as needed. Okay, same thing. You could change your line colors. You can adjust for your thickness and whatever else you might want to do here with your scribbles. So I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff here so we can take a look at some of our shapes. All right, so that's our lines. Pretty easy. What I want you to do is take a look here at some of our shapes now. Obviously, you saw me just draw the house. Okay. Say if I wanted to maneuver these, notice I could click and drag these anywhere I want. Let's say if I wanted this shape to be a little bit bigger. Obviously, if I grab from the inside, it's just going to flatten it a little bit. Obviously, it'll make it taller a little bit. I'll undo that. Notice if I just drag it in, it'll kind of distort yet. One of the features that you'll notice, if I hold down my Shift key and then click a corner, notice it'll keep it symmetrical throughout. So that's a nice feature there. Okay. So now that I have my base, let's try that house again. Let's say for an example this time, instead of drawing with my polylines, I'm going to keep going with shapes. Okay. So this time I'm going to put like a little garage maybe here, just a rough looking garage. There we go. And I'm going to add a roof here. So for this one, maybe I'll put on, instead of our normal triangle, maybe I'll just use a trapezoid for this one, just so you can see what it looks like. There we go. Now, the reason I like to use a trapezoid is because I want you just to see what some of these other little features are. Notice this little yellow triangle here. If I pull that in, notice I can make it come in a little bit tighter, give me a little bit different feature. I could bring it all the way to make it a triangle, or obviously I could bring it out to make it look like whatever shape needed. Okay. But now how about this one? I'm going to, instead of using my trapezoid or a triangle, I'm going to use a different style triangle, I should say. Okay. So what I'm looking for here, as you can see, I'm going to use a right triangle. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a right triangle. Okay. So this right triangle happens to fit very nicely. Okay. But let's say, for example, that my garage was on this side. Okay, I'm going to take these pieces and I'm going to drag them over here for a second. And I'm going to take these pieces and I'm going to drag them over here. All right, there we go. Got to delete that. So then, again, now let's take a look here. Let's say my garage is over here on the left side of the house. And I put this roof on. Now, obviously, I don't want the water running into the house. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this triangle. It's pretty easy to do. Again, you need to make sure that your triangle is active. Then I'm going to come up here to my arrange. And then I'm going to go to rotate. And instead of rotating, I'm just going to flip it. And there you go. You can see my shape flips into place. I could pull this out by using my arrow keys. Or I could even make it nudge by holding down my Shift key and using my arrow to move it into small spaces. There you go. So then again, it looks pretty good there. So these are just some of your basic features to get you started here with drawing. One last thing I'd like to demonstrate is how to put a background on. Again, very easy to do. I can right-click here on my canvas, select background, and then I could choose whatever background I like. There we go. Got a nice little background. So these are some of the basic tools that Google Draw offers, at least to get us started, and then we'll move forward from here. Hope this video helps, and we will continue.